Do not invoke 9/11 for political purposes.
Oh, I'm not. I'm invoking this.
You are, sir.
Gentlemen,
and you are out of line.
I would like to ask him a question, please.
You are out of line, Congressman.
Don't try to bully me.
I don't know if you all have seen it, but someone did a little survey of how many federal employees are actually working in the office. By one estimate, it may be about 1%. And so one of the first things that I think you'll see is a demand from the new administration that federal workers return to their desks.
Instead of taking responsibility and showcasing leadership, instead of demonstrating that he's capable of learning from his mistakes, Secret Service Deputy Director Ronald Rowe decided to get into a shouting match with Congressman Pat Fallon from Texas over the assassination attempts against Donald Trump. Take a look.
So I got another question for you. Do you recognize this photo?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. Was that the remembrance of September 11th?
It was.
Was it in New York?
It was at Ground Zero.
Okay. Who's usually at an event like this closest to the President of the United States, security-wise?
The SAC of the detail.
Special agent in charge of the detail. Were you the special agent in charge of the detail that day?
Actually, let me address this. Could you please, staff, leave that? Oh, no, leave that one up with the circle around me. Thank you. So actually, Congressman, what you're not seeing is the SAC of the detail out of the picture's view. And that is the day where we remember the more than 3,000 people that have died on 9/11. I actually responded to Ground Zero. I was there going through the ashes of the World Trade Center. I was there at Fresh Kills.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you,
Congressman.
were you the special agent in charge?
To show respect
You were not.
for a Secret
that's
Service
a bunch of
member
horse hockey.
that died on 9/11.
Oh, that you're trying to be.
Do not invoke 9/11 for political purposes.
Oh, I'm not. I'm invoking this.
You are, sir.
Gentlemen,
and you are out of line.
I would like to ask him a question, please.
You are out of line,
Congressman. Don't try to bully me. I am an elected member of Congress, and I'm asking you a serious question, and you are playing politics.
I am a public servant who has served this nation, and
you won't answer the question.
On our country's darkest day.
Committee will come to order.
Committee will come to order.
I'm asking you serious questions for the American people, and they're very simple. They're not trick questions. Were you the special agent in charge that day?
No, I wasn't. I was there representing the United States Secret Service, sir.
Mr. Fallon, your time's
did
expired.
not affect protective operations.
You know why you were there? Because you wanted to be visible, because you are auditioning for this job.
I was there to pay respect for a fallen member of this agency.
You endangered
You are
President
out of line,
Biden's life,
Congressman.
Vice President
You are out of
Harris's
line.
life, because you put those agents out of position.
Mr.
Did you have a
Chairman.
radio with
Mr.
you?
Fallon, your time has
Did you have a
expired.
weapon?
Mr.
No.
I did, sir, and you are out of line.
Mr. Chairman.
Now, just for the sake of transparency, I want to be very clear that those are two separate clips that I stitched together. However, that is exactly how the verbal altercation went down. So the original C-SPAN clip only had the camera trained on Representative Fallon's face, but Fox News had both angles on both Fallon as well as Deputy Director Rowe, but that clip was a lot shorter, which is why I put them together. Now, the mainstream media is already doing what the mainstream media is going to do, which is spin this in a way that reflects badly on the GOP. So according to Raw's story, you are out of line. Secret Service chief screams at GOP lawmaker for politicizing 9/11. And of course, if you take a look at the mainstream media, if you take a look at Blue Sky, if you take a look at anywhere where liberals are, they're pretending as if this entire situation is the GOP trying to go on the witch hunt against the Secret Service. They're politicizing 9/11 to get this guy and to try to find fault where there isn't any. But they're leaving out one crucial piece of information. They're leaving out why Representative Fallon brought up 9/11 in the first place. So according to the New York Post, underpinning the explosive confrontation were criticisms from lower levels of the Secret Service who believed that Rowe's attendance at the memorial last month undermined Trump's security because it affected the chain of command, Fallon later told the Post. So if Deputy Director Rowe is going to accuse Congressman Fallon of politicizing 9/11. Is he not accusing Secret Service agents, the one who actually do the protecting, of doing the exact same thing? The reason Congressman Fallon brought this up is because agents within Secret Service were complaining about that incident. And you know what? The fact that there have been 2 attempts on Trump's life, it makes sense that we need to take a look into the Secret Service. We need to take a look into how their decisions are being made, what their judgments are. And speaking of judgments, isn't it funny that the Democrats say that Donald Trump doesn't have the temperament to be president? He doesn't have the temperament to be commander-in-chief. Well, seeing Deputy Director Rowe explode like that and scream, I mean, to me, it looked as if he was deflecting and like he was trying to take Congressman Fallon out of context. There was a very clear and linear line of reasoning here. There was a very specific reason why they were talking about that photo. And it's because Deputy Director Rowe may have endangered everyone at that event by being present. The New York Post continues, agents had privately complained about Rowe's attendance and argued that if something went wrong at the memorial, the chain of command may have been confused. That's not all. Apparently, it took Rowe 9 days after the assassination attempt in Butler for him to even visit Ground Zero, for him to visit the site. I mean, and that's the guy that's supposed to be leading the Secret Service. So, spare me your faux outrage. I hope that he gets replaced. I hope that Donald Trump names Dan Bongino to be the next Secret Service deputy director. I think that would be great news. Now, the Daily Caller did put out this great meme after the altercation, which I thought y'all would enjoy. Of course, the meme making fun of, you've probably seen this on the internet, where on the left side, it's like that blonde chick, and on the right side, it's the angry cat at the head of the table. I thought this was brilliant. Now, for those of you who haven't heard of her, Taylor Lorenz is a left-wing nutjob who used to be a journalist for the New York the New York Times, as well as the Washington Post. Well, she has fled to Blue Sky with the rest of the leftist lunatics, and she is being called out. So yesterday there was the assassination in New York City of the health insurance CEO, right? And right now the entire city is basically on a manhunt. Well, Taylor Lorenz is now celebrating the assassination of that CEO. According to Mediaite, we want these executives dead. Taylor Lorenz melts down in extended celebration of United Healthcare CEO's murder. Now, this is what's scary. I'm not saying that people of different ideologies can't be journalists, but your ideology definitely affects your work, and your work affects the people who read it. So it's scary that she has had such a big influence through both the Times and the Post. But it's not just that. So in Blue Sky, she posted this, CEO down, woke up to see this spammed in my group chats. So, a happy star balloons, obviously celebrating it. But that's not all. After that, she shared a post submitting that, quote, force when used by people is called violence and terror, but when it's used by the powerful, it's called law enforcement and policy. So it sounds like to me that she's endorsing vigilantes to take down people she doesn't agree with, to take down CEOs. Now, look, I get that there's a lot of corruption in insurance. There's a lot of corruption that happens in our healthcare system. But a lot of that, to be honest, only exists because the government has meddled in healthcare in the first place. It exists because of Obamacare, for example. It exists because there are people who want to sabotage the private healthcare system because they want a single-payer system to eventually and ultimately be ushered in the United States. And at the end of the day, no matter what you think about healthcare insurance or any insurance, I mean, that man still is a human being. He still has a family, a mother, a father, a wife, children, family members, friends. He doesn't deserve to be shot, let alone shot in the back. Yet, this is what the left is celebrating right now. They want to be vigilantes. They want to act as if they have the moral high ground, and yet they are literally celebrating murder in our face. But this shouldn't be surprising because this is, after all, the party that, wants abortion on demand. They want to oversimplify the abortion issue, try to paint it as something it's not. Now, I'm going to show you this clip from CNN. It's not a CNN clip. It's really the comments of the CNN clip. So the CNN was talking about the assassination, and so you'll hear CNN playing in the background, but you'll see the comments of their viewers. And they're all similar to Taylor Lorenz, celebrating the death of this guy, calling for more. To me, this is really scary because it appears, at least online, that this is representative of how Democrats and leftists are thinking.
CNN has obtained new surveillance video from the fatal shooting of the United Healthcare CEO. And we do want to warn you that the video is, of course,
Was this out of network?
CNN Bryn Gingras joins
Thoughts
us. Bryn,
and co-pays
take us
to the
through
family.
this video.
Yeah, Phil and Brianna. So we are only showing a few seconds of this
Please
video
hold.
that CNN obtained, obviously, because it is very alarming to watch. Essentially, what we see in that video is the CEO, United Healthcare, Brian Thompson,
Impressed.
walking toward the hotel here behind me, and behind him comes the suspected gunman that police are still searching for. So you could see how he approaches Thompson from the back. Before then, where we freeze the video, he fires those shots at Thompson. What you do not see from these 5 seconds, and I can tell you, is that we also see someone sort of running the opposite direction. So that is something, of course, that police are going to be looking into in this video, breaking it down frame by frame by frame to kind of
I mean,
figure
if
out-
that had been anyone else, the leftists would be calling out and crying for gun control, right? But right now, after this act of gun violence, and I'm not saying that Republicans should be calling for gun control, but it's very clear that the Democrats pick and choose what they want to be outraged about, and then when they choose to celebrate something, they are showing you their true colors. They are quite literally celebrating human death. And to me, that's very disgusting. To me, that's not something I want to ever be associated with. Just as a Christian, I believe, I don't talk about faith a lot on my channel, but I do believe in the power of God, the power of Jesus, the power of forgiveness. And who am I to judge a healthcare CEO? Do I think that insurance is perfect? Do I think that healthcare does terrible things sometimes in what they choose to cover? I mean, obviously, it's a very complex and entangled mess, but I'm not one to issue judgment on someone else. And the reason I brought up the power of Jesus is because I also believe in forgiveness. I believe that we are all created in the image and likeness of God. I mean, who am I to kill someone else, let alone celebrate the murder and death of someone else? It's very alarming that this sort of rhetoric is being championed by at least half the country right now. Now, speaking of half the country, things are even worse in the federal government. It's not just half the federal government. Apparently, over 90% of the federal government isn't coming into work in the office. In fact, they're saying it's almost as if it's 2020, in the height of the pandemic and the lockdowns. And a separate study shows that only 12% of federal buildings are actually being occupied nationwide in their offices, yet we pay billions to operate these buildings. So the reason I say all of that is because Speaker Mike Johnson came out today and said that one of the first actions that he and President Trump are going to do in this upcoming term is to make sure that federal servants, federal employees, return back to work in person, in office. Here we go.
There was a report that came out today, I don't know if you all have seen it, but someone did a little survey of how many federal employees are actually working in the office. By one estimate, it may be about 1% if you don't count the security personnel that are covering these buildings. That is absurd, and it's not something the American people would stand for. And so one of the first things that I think you'll see is a demand from the new administration and from all of us in Congress that federal workers return to their desks and get back to the work that they're supposed to be doing. I think that is common sense. What you're going to see here, the overriding theme here, is a return to common sense and a return to accountability and efficiency in government. I think that's going to serve the people well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't think anyone actually has an issue with working from home, especially if it's a private company and that's how they choose to handle it. But there's a very different expectation when it comes to public servants, civil servants, people who work for the federal government. If a company says, you can work from home, for example, I started a digital marketing website building company. There's no need for me and people I work with to show up in person. Everything we do can be done remotely. But when you are a federal employee and you're supposed to be serving us, the American people, I think there is a different, and there should be a different expectation. There should be transparency. You should be going to work in office where you're presumably going to be more productive, more effective. can be focused on the tasks at hand, it'll also reduce fraud or over bloated and timesheets that are just blown out of proportion. People clocking in for work while I don't know, they're doing laundry or cooking lunch or prepping dinner. I'm sure that happens, and so I think that is absolutely spot on. Now, going back to the original topic of the video, as always, all of this is just my analysis commentary. That's what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. What do you think about that hearing between Secret Service Deputy Director Ronald Rowe and Congressman Pat Fallon? Do you think that they were both out of line? Do you think that it was just Deputy Director Rowe who was out of line? Do you think that is indicative of his qualifications for the job and whether or not he'll be replaced in the next administration? Let me know your thoughts down below. Now, I do want to get into the habit of reading at least 3 comments at the end of my videos because y'all take the time to watch and take the time to comment, and I just at random will start picking comments. So the first one from Tim Stevenson, you have become my #1 source for daily news. So sad to hear about why you've been gone. Sending a prayer and positive thoughts. Great to have you back, though. And thank you so much to everyone who has left a comment, sent words of encouragement, or even sent some of your stories. I know some of you have had falls or have had family members who have had falls, and some of y'all were really encouraging and giving me, reason to have hope for a good recovery. So I appreciate everyone who was really thoughtful and supportive in reaching out. Aaron writes, this feels so different from 2016. It's like the Democrats have realized that all they have thrown at Trump failed to do anything but drive Americans to him. But that would require logic. It's just too quiet for comfort. And you know what? I agree. I don't want to say I'm alarmed, but I am. Part of me feels like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I really expected that there would be a Resistance 2.0. And sort of my fear is that maybe it's been quiet because whatever resistance is coming is kind of, bubbling under the surface. Or maybe the currents are strong under the surface and everything seems crystal clear on top. I don't know. I am expecting something. I don't know whether it's going to be anti-war protests that the far radical left gravitate towards, or if it's going to be protests against deportations. I'm just waiting for something. I feel like since there hasn't been this slow buildup to Resistance 2.0, my gut feeling is that it's just going to be an explosion out of nowhere. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but we'll see. And maybe, we're worrying about nothing, but time will tell. Last but not least, I can't remember from Sarah ever staying in a 5-star hotel, but I'm just a tax-paying citizen of the United States. And Sarah, haven't you heard? You're doing it wrong. You have to cross the border illegally. You have to claim asylum. You have to be flown on a chartered plane to New York City. And then you can get a 5-star hotel for free, by the way. You won't owe anything on it. And who knows, you may even get food from a top-rated chef. If you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. It'll really help me in the algorithm to reach more viewers like you. For anyone who is new to the channel, to celebrate reaching 100,000 subscribers, if and when the channel gets there, I will introduce you to my sleepy but not so sleepy dog, as well as my cat. We are having a contest for anyone who can guess their names. The dog is named after a dragon, and my cat is named after my favorite gambler in a fantasy series. And every 1,000 subscribers, so 96, 97, 98, 99, I will be giving a new clue. They will not all be fantasy based, so anyone can participate, and yes, there will be giveaways. So if you enjoyed this video, and if any of that fancies your interest, be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.